A selfish act is an unhealthy act. A selfish act is an unhealthy act. Y'all ready for some coffee talk? All right, here we go. In the mid-'80s, there was a lady named Miss Joanna, and she was real cool and friends with a lady that stayed on the same street with her named Miss Carol. And they both had children of the same age at that time, back in the 80s. And Miss Joanna, she had 4 boys. One was 11, one was 10, one was 7, and one was 3. Okay, and Miss Carol, she had 2 children. She had a girl and a boy, and the girl and the boy was ages 10 and 11. And the kids would play outside with each other every day, which made the parents pretty cool with each other at the time. And after that, the parents really start getting real close to each other and start hanging out and stuff like that. When Miss Carol had a husband who had a real drinking problem. You know, every day he had to have drinks. He had to get drunk to the point where, you know, he couldn't walk straight. You know what I'm saying? He just couldn't maintain his sobriety or none of that. You know, he would just drink to the point where, you know, he would pass out anywhere that he sat down in. When you see him up the street, when you see him coming up the street driving, he's swerving from one end of the street all the way to the next end of the street. Okay, well, this particular day, Miss Joanna was asked by Miss Carol's kids, could Miss Joanna's kids go with them out of town. And Miss Joanna was pretty much like, well, I'm cool with them going out of town long as the father, Miss Carol's husband, don't drive, because I don't want my kids riding with him and he's a drunk, you know. So Miss Carol assured Miss Joanna that she's going to be driving and her husband is not going to be driving, because she don't like when her kids ride with him and he's drunk as well. Okay, so they goes out of town. The kids ride with the Miss Joanna kids ride with Miss Carol and her kids out of town, and then the whole weekend goes by. They had a great time. So when they was getting ready to come back from out of town, Miss Carol and her husband was bringing the kids back to Miss Joanna. So Miss Joanna was sitting in the house. Her and her husband was sitting in the house waiting for the arrival of the kids to come home. But down the street, she can hear a car's tires screeching down the street, like. Then she heard a boom right behind it. Boom, 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 boom. So everybody on the street, because it's broad daylight, everybody on the street got up and ran to the end of the street to see what was going on, because that's where the crash came from it. So when everybody looked down the street, they seen a truck tumbled over, you know, and they seen some children coming from up under the truck, and, you know, a mom coming from up under the truck and a dad coming from up under the truck. Of course, it was Miss Carol and her husband and the children. Miss Carol let the husband drive, and he was driving drunk. So Miss Carol's husband was doing about 70 miles per hour down the street, and then tried to make a 90-degree turn to turn down the street. While he was doing that, all of the children were sitting on the back bed of the truck, of the open truck, the back of the truck. They were sitting on the bed. Well, as the truck flips over, Miss Joanne's 7-year-old, he got caught up under the truck. So the truck actually rolled. He got thrown out the truck, hit the ground, and the truck rolled over him and killed him. You know. So you know, Miss Carol tried to extend her apologies, and you know that didn't do anything. Of course, the husband, he went to jail for a long time because of, you know, he was driving drunk with the children. So after that, Miss Joanna, she was never the same again. She had, you know, felt like her trust had been broken. Her kid is gone and never coming back. Sometimes we just have to think before we act. You know what I mean? We have to think about what we're doing before we act. Okay? A selfish act is an unhealthy act. That's it. That's all I got. Happy Monday.